Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to The Dreaming Prophet. The sky is bright, the sun is shining, and the birds are singing. Or are they? Those aren't birds. Oh God, those aren't birds at all. Wake up, dear listener. Wake up before the shape comes.
Hey, what the fuck? That's my line. Well, my name is Lavanya, and I'm your host for tonight, along with this thieving thief of a bastard.
Hi, I'm Astro.
And I'll be joining you for the first time today. You may or may not recognize my voice, but my name is Bellamy, Bell for short.
This is a Blackout Club show for Blackout Club players with minimal speculation, all lore, and a focus on the known facts. Our topic of the day is the missions. We'll be giving you a guide on the basics of missions and all the things we've learned while playing them.
So our spoiler warnings for today are pretty much none. There are no spoilers unless you were deeply invested in the lore of the missions, in which case there are a lot of spoilers. We have a general horror warning, as always, and emphasis on the death plus injury to children warning that we always do, because this will be explicitly talking about the missions that do include dead children.
Breaking news.
All right, dear listeners, we have exciting news for you today, and that is we have received an official correction on our last episode. Episode 5, A Light in the Darkness, about everyone's least favorite morally gray daemon, the Idare. So this correction came from the developers, and it clarified a point of slight confusion in the podcast, specifically about the word and the song. This is the statement that we received. Word and song can exist in the same mind without turning instantly lethal. In fact, most minds in Red Acre are burdened by both. But the pure expression of the old tongue while conscious, _twice, has led to madness or death in the rare instances that it has happened. So, over prolonged periods, even the sleepers who have been induced to perform it have been lost to it, because under the surface, their brains were still organized by the word. So, a corrosive cognitive dissonance built up if they try to perform a long, complex thought in it. So, to clarify that further, basically what that quote is saying is that the word and the song being present in an individual's head does not instantly kill you. It is not an instant game over. Instead, the word is present in every individual's heads. And Red Acre's residents are largely burdened by the song already, which you can hear at any point if you turn down your sound effects or raise your music in-game.
We are planning a full corrections episode later, so you can watch for that. But for now, that's the facts.
For this episode, however, our main goal is to provide comprehensive info and some tips and tricks about the missions that currently exist in-game. We'll be going over each mission individually, outlining what's required for the mission and some tips that we have for you, but as a general tip before we start, please remember that if you're ever confused while you're playing, you can always close your eyes and you should actually see footsteps leading you to the next step of your mission.
So in-game, there are 3 mission types. They are Search, Steal, and Disrupt. After a certain level, the missions are randomized, but your first few missions will mostly be the same.
So our first search type mission is the one titled Investigate Breakin. The purpose of this mission, as is explained to you in-game, is that there's been a strange break-in at one of the Red Acre houses, and you've been tasked by your club members with sneaking over there and recording anything strange that you find. There are actually 2 variants on this mission. The regular variant that you will see for most of your time playing the game, and the variant that you actually get the very first time that you play any mission. This we'll be calling the Night 1 variant. So the Night 1 variant takes advantage of the fact that investigating a break-in is one of the simpler missions you can receive, so it's used as a pretty good introduction for certain game mechanics, and it will prompt you regarding how to record evidence in the game when you're first learning. The main difference between the Night 1 variant and the regular version of this mission is just the introductory flavor text that you see when you load into the mission, rather than in the actual gameplay. The Night 1 break-in investigation is a fun one because it provides you with a lot of in-universe fictional details as to what's going on and additional explanations as to what to do. Now, what you actually do for both variants of this mission is that you need to sneak into a house and record 3 strange things that have happened in the house. And these can range from a smashed-in front door to dirty footsteps in the living room, even to strange and unnervingly red stains splattered across the bathroom sink. Remember, like we mentioned earlier, these pieces of evidence can be scattered around the house, so like we mentioned earlier, if you get lost or can't find one, you can always close your eyes, and there should be a trail of footsteps leading you to the next piece of evidence. This may even help you identify evidence that you didn't realize was evidence in the first place. A dirt smear to your open eyes may manifest as glowing footprints when burned into the backs of your eyelids. And when it comes to outside evidence, the trail will unfortunately not lead you directly to it, but it will lead you to outside in general, which should be your clue to look around the small outside area, such as the backyard in which you've ended up. The evidence should be nearby.
The second search type mission that we'll be covering is Find a Club Member's Phone. The purpose of this mission is to get sensitive information out of the cult's hands. 3 chests in the maze are locked, only one has the phone. It's a guessing game, and it helps to have lockpicks. Although you can kick in chests, it creates a lot of noise and it creates a lot of sin. And in this case, unlike kicking in doors, foam canisters will not save you. There is no way to foam an item chest and kick it open at this time.
Now, our next mission category is Disrupt. The first mission in this category is the dual Pick Up Posters and Place Recruitment Posters mission. There are actually 2 variants on this mission as well. There is the House Posters variant and the Maze Posters variant. First, we'll be talking about the House Posters version, as it's the slightly easiest one and it comes up a little bit earlier for most players. The purpose of this mission is to recruit new club members by pasting invisible propaganda all around town. Now, the first step of this mission is pick up posters, which, eponymously, involves picking up some posters from trash cans or bins around town. When you collect these bins, try to split up who has how many posters, or else you will end up with one proactive member of your team picking up all of them, advancing the mission to the next step and leaving no posters for the rest of your group to pick up. A recent update actually allows you to drop quest items for your teammates, so it's not the end of the world if you grab all the items yourself, but it does take a little more work to distribute the quest items that way. In step 2 of the mission, you place the recruitment posters. For the house posters variant of this mission, you generally put them up on houses and trees. This is pretty easy because posters are absolutely silent to put up. They just take a second, and as long as there's nobody around that can see you, you should be absolutely fine. Now, the maze posters variant of this mission is a little bit tougher. This is essentially the same mission as putting the posters up above ground, but it's more dangerous because your mission goal is to wake up adults instead of convert children. So you'll be doing most of your work underground in the maze. Aside from that, the mission details are about the same. You pick up posters and put them up in the maze and, pray that you don't get dragged kicking and screaming into the bowels of the song's terrible underground machine, never to be heard from again. And lastly, regarding both of these mission variants, when you've put up those posters, they do look like regular posters, if occasionally rather memey. So if you're wondering how they help recruit the club or disrupt the adults wandering the maze, well, just try taking a look at them with your eyes closed.
The next Disrupt type mission is Pick Up TBC Yard Signs and Plant the Yard Signs. The purpose is to recruit for the club. No need to go into the maze this time. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, will begin when you retrieve boxes from inside 2 houses which have all of the yard signs inside. Like with posters, it's important to split up who has how many yard signs. Hammer them into the ground without getting caught. The hammering process takes time, a couple of seconds. You should plan for this. Unlike with the posters, enemies will hear you and will come to your location to investigate. And if they can see you, it's even worse. If someone interrupts you while you are placing a yard sign, you will have to start all over from the beginning of the process.
The third Disrupt type of mission is Foam Party. Foam Party is pretty exciting because this is a pretty active mission, all things considered. You're heading out into the streets, getting ready to strike directly back against the cult that is trying to murder, brainwash, or possibly just going by some of their call lines, neg you back into serving them. So what you'll be doing in this mission is you'll be picking up foam canisters at the maze entrance. You need at least 10 for it to start into the next part of the mission, but you can gather pretty much a shit ton more if you feel like just roaming around the level. You will take these foam canisters and you will damage the cult technology. Don't be like me, I literally spent 3 months until Xaviul was kind enough to tell me to read the fucking mission, thinking that I was supposed to be disabling the proximity mines. No, you want to disable the mines that electrocute you. So this is a normal variant. You foam or deactivate every speed trap above ground. There will be 10 total. There's a second variant, which is the Maze Foam Party, which is foaming or deactivating every speed trap underground. There's still 10, the only difference is the location. The maze is more dangerous, and because the maze is fuck huge, it will take you a great deal longer.
The fourth Disrupt type mission is titled Get the Dampers. The purpose of this mission is to disrupt the instrument, which keeps track of the player's sins and alerts the shape. The dampers are wooden cases that have been stuffed with pieces of blankets, crafted by the kids, handmade, and each one is perfectly formed to fit onto one string. The soft material will stop the strings from vibrating quite so fiercely, and it will change the sound of the instrument. To complete this mission, your first task is to pick up dampers. Collectively, you only need to pick up 4, but there are 12 scattered around the map. You will need to put these dampers on 4 different strings in the maze. They can be anywhere in the maze, in any room, and you may need to change the way you're positioned in order to reach certain places. Completing this mission wipes away your sin up to that point, and will often cause the shape to stop targeting players. If he doesn't go away immediately, he will soon. Sometimes he just needs to shape someone before he goes, you know? It's his job. He wants to feel fulfilled.
Our last disruption-oriented mission involves audio bugs. The purpose of this mission is to give kids a way to listen in on the adults. After all, we do have plenty of adults trying to snoop in on what the kids of Red Acre are doing, so it's about time that we get a chance to turn the tables on parental controls. And hopefully get some warning ahead of time if there's anything particularly nefarious getting plotted. To get your equipment for this mission, you'll be nabbing one of 4 boxes located on a delivery bike somewhere outside and above ground in town. These will be your audio bugs. You then take these listening devices and, ironically, very, very quietly, sneak into the targeted houses to install them in specific locations that the mission will point out to you. The caveat here is that the installation process for the bugs makes a lot of noise, so you want to make sure you'll be safe before starting installation. There's actually a couple of different tactics you can use for this. Firstly, you can scout the house first and tag the resident sleeper, well, you know what I mean. Secondly, or if you're daring even alternatively, you can have an escape plan ready. Open a window nearby and get ready to book it across the rooftops before you get bodily tacoed and sent off to the world's worst overnight camp.
More on this after a word from our sponsors.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled commercial break with a public service announcement. Here in Red Acre, we are a lovely and close-knit community. However, we can at times feel slightly detached from the rest of the world. As a result, it is important to keep an eye out for our most vulnerable population, our children. Feelings of isolation, distant behavior, and even beginning to speak to imaginary friends can all be signs that your loved ones need help. Chorus provides free counseling for any children experiencing symptoms like these. Please, don't hesitate to make the call to help your loved ones today. Our third mission type is steal, because who doesn't love a good bit of petty theft after all? Doesn't that stuff get wiped off your juvenile record?
I hope so.
Now, our first mission is pickpocketing evidence bags, because, you know, who doesn't want to pretend they're in Skyrim? The purpose of this mission is damage control. A previous Blackout Club mission went awry, and some Chorus agent is carrying the evidence. You're here to retrieve it. Your goal in this mission is to retrieve the bag of Blackout Club evidence that a Chorus agent is carrying. It's perfectly possible and, in fact, ideal to do this without ever alerting them to your presence. If you do get noticed, however, you can still freely complete the mission. You'll just have to run very, very quickly. There are actually 2 variants of this mission as well. The first variant is Sleeper Elite. This is the low-level version that you'll get around levels 2 and 3 or so, where the Chorus agent carrying your bag of evidence is an elite sleeper. This version is on the easier side, as sleepers are blind and will be unable to see you approach. Make sure to stay totally silent. Secondly, there's the regular version of this mission that you get once you're at higher levels. In this variant, the evidence bag is being carried by a lucid dreamer. Even worse, the lucid is almost always down in the underground maze. You'll have to dive down and face the nightmare underground to the best of your clandestine abilities. Do your best to snatch the key evidence of your club's doings from a fully cognizant agent that can, and unless you're master of stealth, probably will see you. Getting the bag from a lucid dreamer without being seen is pretty difficult, so my best advice for this mission variant is to pack a candy bar for a swift escape and have your exit route in mind ahead of time.
The second steal-type mission you'll encounter is Carry the Torch. The purpose of this mission is to retrieve cult tech and bring it home to study at the boxcar. Your objective is to get into the maze, retrieve an item called the First Fire, and carry it out of the maze and to the drop point without being apprehended. If you lose the fire, another one will spawn on the table, but try not to lose it. The First Fire makes you highly visible to Lucids and the Shape. There's no off switch on this thing, and it glows brightly in a large radius around you, and Lucids, as we all know, have perfect 20/20 vision. Really, the only hot tip about this mission is to take it and fucking go. There is nothing you can do to make this mission better for yourself. You can try to weave around corners, but that's about it. The faster you get it over with, the more grateful you'll be when it's done. If you should run into trouble while carrying the fire, pass the baton to a teammate. It is baton-shaped, after all. You can call it a relay race, whatever makes you happy, but ultimately the Blackout Club is a co-op game and your teammates are there to support you.
Alright, so now that we're done talking about stealing precious religious artifacts from innocent worshippers just trying to live their own life, we are moving on to a different kind of mission in which we are returning what may or may not be a priceless religious artifact, because we're good people.
And to be clear, in my opinion, which is otherwise known as categorically, this is the absolute worst and most difficult mission in the game, especially if you have to do it solo.
See, that's wrong, but that's okay, because this is not the song, and we do accept controversial and incorrect statements. This mission is called To Carry a Tune. It's one of the most interesting missions, in my opinion, in that we get explicit lore with it. The screaming head is essentially, I guess you could say that it's not screaming, but if you look in your heart, it really is screaming. The screaming head is actually releasing part of what the game refers to as the Sleepwalker song. We can kind of reach the conclusion that it is actually transmitting part of the song above ground, which is fascinating. Our goal with this mission is to take it back underground. You take it off of an electric stand that they've usually set up by one of the houses, sometimes in the road, and then you take it back underground to a randomized location in the maze. It screams whenever you move, it attracts attention, and it accumulates a fuck ton of sin. So the best method in which to handle this mission is, if you do not have Unstoppable, you can actually throw the head. In early access, there was sometimes an issue where the head would become stuck if you did this. This is less of an issue now, but if it does become stuck, then you can just go ahead and get a new one. Throwing the head gives you a certain amount of leeway. For example, if you're standing in instrument supply and you throw your head through the hole that leads to string relay, you can make that throw. You may not make that throw and you may regret everything, but you can make it. And the only way that you can guarantee that you'll make it is to try and try again.
And truly yeet the thing.
So now that we've gotten through all of that, you may have noticed that we left out a few key missions. This is because we've categorized these missions as multi-part missions. These missions require a different kind of thinking and a different approach.
The first of the multi-part missions is the Cryptograms. This is a seal type mission. Basically, the point of it is that the player characters discover that Course is researching something interesting down in the maze, in the Cryptogram library, one of the largest rooms. What they are researching functionally appears to either be a very fucked up type of yoga or else incredibly tepid dance moves. So it's up for grabs on how hateful you're feeling towards the cult and what decision you make here.
Spoiler alert, it should probably be pretty hateful.
Don't insult my religious background, Bellamy.
Religious background suggests that you follow some sort of moral code, and I'm not sure that Simon Says Obey qualifies.
As was confirmed by Speak as One themselves, who does dictate a beautiful and extensive moral code to their followers, so go fuck yourself. The cryptograms are actually written forms of the Old Tongue. As we've mentioned before briefly, the Old Tongue is the original language of the daemons. It cannot safely be spoken or used by humans, but for whatever reason, Speak as One is just, collecting information on endless cryptograms, or for them to stare at, I suppose.
When you spend half your life in a place as dreary as the maze, I suppose anything will spice it up.
The way that this mission goes is that you will find the cryptograms in a random room in the maze. This can be dream therapy, this can be sleeper lockers, this can be cryptogram library. Basically, the range of rooms that the cryptograms can spawn in is pretty fucking far-ranging. All three of them, however, will always be in the same room. The only exception to this is the Somnicles, because technically those aren't the same room, they're just on opposite sides of the plexus. Once you get those, the mission can change slightly depending on what level you are. For low-level characters, grabbing the cryptogram sometimes is all that you need to do. But as you gain levels in the game, you'll discover that the mission grows with you. Once you reach a higher level, the game will spawn a projector as the second part of the cryptogram mission. The rest of the mission is functionally the same, but you will now have additional objectives. You will get to put them into the projector, record the slides that show up, and then escape from the mob that you probably attracted around you. Because when you film the projector, it will make noise. This will attract enemies, and as with anything that causes sin, it will attract the shape over.
The next multi-part mission begins with Hide Evidence. We refer to this colloquially as the bird mission. It's a search-type mission, and the purpose is to protect fellow club kids who are doing weird shit while they're possessed. Your task is to go to a specific house. Inside this house is a cutting board that has been desecrated with the blood and feathers of a dove. Upon finding it, though, you will realize that the dove itself is missing. You will have to follow a trail of 4 to 5 bloodstains between the cutting board and the bird's corpse in another house or another location. Cleaning these bloodstains makes a lot of noise, but each one is bonus evidence. So if you want a top-tier clear, it's a good idea to pick up some kitchen cleaner on your way.
Our third multi-part mission is the drone retrieval mission. Like the cryptograms, this is a steal-type mission. And in this case, your clubmate Dax has tried to steal some of the Chorus cult's documents by means of drone. And he was ultimately successful, but unfortunately, it's malfunctioned and dropped all of his ill-gotten gains across town. Now it's up to you to do recovery. In this mission, you will be hunting around for a few things. First, you must search for and repair the crashed drone itself. It will often be found in a place that requires some climbing to get to, like a rooftop. When you find the drone, you need to initiate a slightly time-consuming and loud repair, so be ready to run, or make sure there's nobody around before you start. After you have the drone repaired, it will begin to fly and retrace its previously malfunctioning flight path. At the time of its initial malfunction, it dropped several bonus papers and the all-important Chorus binder, and you need to follow it to find and pick up all of the missing items. This part is pretty easy, though the papers can end up just about anywhere above ground and outside. Rooftops, the middle of the street, you name it. Watch out for adults, and you should be fine.
The next multi-part mission we've decided to call Find the Kid. There are 3 variants to this mission, and they change the objectives drastically. However, overall, this is a search-type mission. The purpose is to rescue fellow club members. The first variant of this mission is called Untie the Kid. You will follow the marker to your objective underground. There will be a kid tied up in the maze. You will have to untie this kid, as the name of the mission suggests, but after that, they can get themselves out just fine. Everyone in the club is very capable.
The second variant on this mission is pretty similar to the first with one very jarring difference. Now, you get told in this mission to find the missing person. In this mission, you follow the marker to your objective, but unlike in the last version, when you find your friend, they're already dead. Your job in this mission is to record the evidence and leave as quickly as you can.
The last variant of this mission is called Follow the Trail, and it combines elements from both previous variants. Your mission objective marker will take you to the start point of a trail. At this location begins a trail of blood, which eventually leads down into the maze. At the head of the trail, there are usually about 3 to 4 pieces of bonus evidence. The exception to this is old growth at this time of recording. You will follow the trail of blood into the maze, wherever it leads. And at the end, you will either find one of your friends alive, or one of your friends that you will dearly miss.
So something that's interesting to note here is that the game explicitly says that the Lucids do not want to hurt the player characters in the guide that serves as the access to the tutorial. However, in the first part of the mission, when you are just looking to untie your kidnapped friends, it states that they are being interrogated, which is bad. In the Find the Missing Person mission, it states that you just hope that you're in time. Free them if so, record the crime if not. And then in the final part of the mission where you are finding a dead child, you're dealing with the dead child. What we can get from this is that the Lucids may not want to hurt the player characters, but when they're interrogating them, somehow this interrogation does involve a risk enough of death that the Blackout Club children are heavily invested in reaching their friends in time. And when they can't reach their friends in time, it's shown that their concern is not hyperbole, because that's when they're discovering that their friends have been killed. So our next mission is the recording mission, which is a steal-type mission, not actually a Pokemon reference. To backtrack slightly towards a previous topic, what's fascinating about the recording mission is that this is the first example of the old tongue that we see directly in play. This mission involves the children gathering some sort of electric boxes, placing them around a circle that they draw with chalk, and activating something on the boxes. When they do so, the symbol that they've drawn lights up, and when they lure a sleeper or a lucid inside of it, they are trapped. They begin performing a symbol endlessly. What this mission is that you set up the devices around the symbol, and you lure an enemy within it. Either a lucid or a sleeper, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't work in the shape, but it has no sense of dance moves anyways, so, that's okay.
Once you get them inside, they will begin performing the gesture, Chase the Sun, endlessly on repeat until they are interrupted. As the sidebar notes, if you read it during the mission, sometimes the sleepers perform these, even to the point of dying. The mission insinuates that this is the Old Tongue, but a conversation with Speak as One actually confirmed it. If you do not tackle the enemy after recording, they will remain kneeling for the rest of the game.
Extended tasks can be assisted. Examples are not limited to fixing the drone, cleaning blood, and untying the kid. Multiple people working on one extended task will help it go faster, significantly. Friendship is, again, the core of the Blackout Club. Without it, you get into a lot more trouble.
Some additional notes on game etiquette that I alluded to earlier include trying to leave some objectives for your teammates if they want them. Most people do like to help, and they got the game because they wanted to play it, not because they wanted to watch other people play it. Communication is key, and this will also mean that you can finish the game faster, like we mentioned for missions such as the posters and yard signs. It also helps spread sin out a little bit more, so no player will get shaped immediately. And like I mentioned earlier, the latest update allows you to drop quest items if you're ever in trouble. Take advantage of this, especially for items that attract a lot of attention or might have you spread out all around the map to complete your objectives.
There may be more mission types in the future. If so, we'll try to make a follow-up to this guide. But for now, this has been a guide to all of the missions currently in the Blackout Club. Thank you to Eric Switzer from The Gamer, who gave us a shout out in one of his recent articles. In the description for this episode, we're leaving a link to his article entitled, "Okay, what the hell is going on in the Blackout Club?" It's a great read, especially if you're new to the game, and it will introduce you to the bare basics of the lore, and also tell you how you can get more of it. As a reminder, if you are new to the game, we have another resource to help you, which is our Blackout Club Lexicon. That's at bit.ly/TBC capitalized lexicon with the first letter capitalized. That link should be in our podcast description and in every episode description, so take a look at it. It's a guide to player and game lingo to help you get acclimated.
And before we go, Astro almost forgot the most important mission of all. The newest mission just recently released by the developer team on the public test server, which is a steel-type mission called Recover the Shape Body Pillow.
Lavanya, I love you, but I was trying to forget.
You can never forget in the song. You're welcome.
The Blackout Club is made by Question Games. Our advertising director and host is Bellamy. Our transcript and video is by Lavanya. Audio editing is by me, Astro. Xaviul was buried in Grant's tomb.